There's a reason some SUVs sit in driveways for 15 years without ever seeing a tow truck, while others end up on Facebook Marketplace with 40,000 miles and a laundry list of problems. It usually isn't luck. Consumer Reports just finished combing through owner survey data from hundreds of thousands of real drivers, and a small group of SUVs came out looking almost untouchable, some of them from brands nobody expected to see near the top. A couple of German names snuck onto this list, and even longtime Consumer Reports staffers admitted they were surprised. Meanwhile, a few SUVs that everybody assumes are bulletproof quietly got left off entirely. If you're SUV shopping right now, this list could save you thousands of dollars in repairs you'll never have to pay for. So let's start with number 9. Number 9, Ford Bronco Sport. Most people hear Bronco and picture the big, boxy off-roader with removable doors and a cult following. The Bronco Sport is the quieter sibling that almost nobody talks about, and that's exactly why it's here. It's built on a car-based platform shared with the Escape, not the rugged truck underpinnings of its bigger brother, and that difference matters more than most shoppers realize. Because it shares mechanical DNA with a proven crossover platform rather than an all-new truck architecture, the Bronco Sport has avoided a lot of the growing pains that hit brand-new designs. That's a big deal, because vehicles built on fresh platforms are statistically the ones most likely to show up in owner complaint databases during their first few years. The Bronco Sport skipped that awkward phase. Inside, it doesn't try to be flashy. The interior leans practical, rubberized surfaces, a Malle-style panel on the dash for accessories, and washable floors that make it a favorite with hikers and dog owners. None of that screams luxury, but it also means there's less to break. Fewer motorized gadgets, fewer touch-sensitive panels, fewer things that quietly fail 2 years after the warranty expires. The honest weakness here is power. The base turbocharged 3-cylinder engine is efficient, but it can feel strained when the SUV is fully loaded with passengers and gear, especially climbing a mountain pass. It's not a deal breaker for daily commuting, but road trip families should know what they're signing up for. There's also the transmission question. Ford paired most Bronco Sport trims with a conventional automatic rather than chasing the dual-clutch trend that's caused headaches for some competitors, and that decision has aged well. Owners who've put real miles on theirs report smooth, predictable shifts even after years of stop-and-go commuting, which is exactly the kind of unremarkable behavior you want from a transmission. Nobody buys an SUV hoping to think about it. They buy it hoping to forget it's even there, mechanically speaking, and that's the reputation the Bronco Sport has quietly earned. Still, for a compact SUV that blends genuine off-road capability with dependability most rivals in its price range can't match, the Bronco Sport earned its spot on this list. And the next SUV on this list comes from a brand that reliability lists almost never include. Number 8. BMW X5. Here's the sentence that would have gotten you laughed out of a mechanic's shop a decade ago. A BMW is one of the more dependable large luxury SUVs you can buy. And yet, according to Consumer Reports' latest reliability data, the X5 has climbed into that conversation alongside brands that built their entire reputation on dependability. This isn't the story people expect. German luxury SUVs have historically had a reputation for expensive electronics, finicky suspension components, and repair bills that make owners wince. So what changed? Part of it comes down to BMW slowing its pace of dramatic redesigns on the X5 platform, letting engineers refine and debug systems across several model years instead of throwing brand new tech at buyers every cycle. Consumer Reports has pointed out again and again that vehicles built on a mature, well-tested platform tend to post far better reliability numbers than anything freshly redesigned, and the X5 has benefited from exactly that kind of stability. Owners who've kept theirs for 3, 4, 5 years report fewer of the electrical gremlins that plagued earlier BMW SUVs. That doesn't mean it's without flaws. The X5's run flat tires wear faster than conventional tires and cost noticeably more to replace, and BMW's maintenance intervals still assume dealership-level servicing that isn't cheap once the free maintenance period ends. This is a vehicle that rewards owners who stay disciplined about service schedules and punishes those who don't. There's also a psychological hurdle here that has nothing to do with mechanics. Buyers who've been burned by an older BMW or who've simply absorbed decades of jokes about German electronics tend to walk past the X5 without a second look, and that's understandable caution, but it's also outdated. Reliability data doesn't care about reputation. It cares about actual failure rates reported by real owners, and on that measure, the current X5 has separated itself from BMW's older SUVs in a way that's easy to miss if you're only going off what you heard from a coworker a decade ago. But if the X5 was a surprise, wait until you see what showed up right behind it, a brand that until recently wasn't even part of Consumer Reports' reliability conversation at all. Number 7. Porsche Macan. Porsche has spent decades being known for sports cars, not spreadsheets full of reliability data. For years, the brand didn't have enough vehicle model history in Consumer Reports' survey pool to even generate a meaningful reliability score. That changed with the Macan, and the results caught plenty of industry watchers off guard. The compact luxury SUV now sits tied for the title of most reliable small SUV or crossover in Consumer Reports' latest rankings, right alongside a certain Japanese crossover with a decade-plus reputation for near-flawless dependability. Think about what that means. A 5-figure-plus performance SUV, wearing a badge associated with track days and 6-figure sports cars, is now standing shoulder to shoulder with some of the most boring, sensible, dependable crossovers on the road. That's not a coincidence. It's the payoff of Porsche carrying over a heavily tested platform and powertrain across multiple model years rather than reinventing the wheel. Long-term owners describe a driving experience that doesn't feel like a compromise between reliable and fun. The Macan handles like something wearing a Porsche badge should, with steering feedback and body control that most compact luxury SUVs can't match. The catch is cost of ownership outside of mechanical failures. Tires, brakes, and scheduled maintenance on a Porsche are priced like a Porsche, regardless of how few things actually go wrong. Reliable doesn't always mean cheap to own, and that distinction matters for anyone budgeting month to month. It's worth pausing on why this matters beyond bragging rights. For years, Porsche simply didn't have enough reliability history in the survey data to be ranked at all. Not because the cars were bad, but because sample sizes were too small to draw conclusions. The Macan changed that by selling in high enough numbers over enough years to finally generate a real track record. That track record turned out to be excellent, and it forced reliability analysts to reconsider assumptions about performance-oriented brands that had gone unchallenged for years. If a sports car brand can crack this list, the next SUV proves that reliability sometimes comes from a company that's been quietly excellent for over a decade without anyone making a big deal out of it. Number 6. Mazda CX-5 2023. Coming in at number 4 is a vehicle that often gets slept on, the Mazda CX-5. Mazda doesn't have the same reputation for bulletproof reliability that Toyota has cultivated in the public imagination, but the data tells a different story, one that's quietly impressive. The CX-5's naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine is one of the most understressed, mechanically simple 4-cylinders on the market today. Unlike many competitors that have moved towards small displacement turbocharged engines to meet efficiency targets, Mazda kept things straightforward with the CX-5's base engine. Less turbo lag stress, fewer high-pressure components, and a design philosophy built around long-term durability rather than squeezing out extra horsepower. This translates directly into fewer engine-related repairs reported by owners past the 100,000-mile mark. Mazda's transmission choice also plays a role here. Instead of a CVT, the CX-5 uses a conventional 6-speed automatic. While CVTs have improved dramatically industry-wide, traditional torque converter automatics still have a longer track record of surviving high mileage use without major rebuilds. Mechanics who specialize in used vehicle inspections frequently note that CX-5 transmissions show less wear-related slippage at high mileage compared to some CVT-equipped competitors, RAV4 included. Then there's Mazda's build quality, something the brand has quietly been perfecting since it repositioned itself as a slightly more premium alternative in the compact SUV space. Fit and finish inside the CX-5 often outshine the RAV4's cabin, with tighter panel gaps, more consistent material quality, and fewer reported instances of rattles developing over time. While this might sound cosmetic, worn interior components can be an early indicator of assembly quality, and Mazda has consistently scored well here in long-term durability assessments. Owners frequently highlight another factor. Number 5. Subaru Crosstrek. Subaru owners tend to be evangelists. Ask around and you'll hear the same stories. A Crosstrek that's crossed 150,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and tires, or one that got a family through a decade of winters without ever leaving them stranded. Consumer Reports' latest data backs up the anecdotes. The Crosstrek earned a spot among the year's top SUV picks, standing out specifically for how much dependable all-weather capability it packs into an affordable subcompact footprint. What makes the Crosstrek's story interesting is the recent engine change. For years, it ran a somewhat underpowered 2.0-liter engine that left it feeling sluggish, especially fully loaded on the highway. The newer 2.5-liter engine adds real usable power without sacrificing the fuel efficiency that made the Crosstrek popular in the first place. And that kind of power bump matters in real life, because it's the difference between a stress-free highway merge and white-knuckling it with 4 passengers and a trunk full of luggage. Standard all-wheel drive across every trim is the Crosstrek's real superpower. Competitors often make AWD an expensive option. Subaru builds it into every single configuration, which is a huge part of why the brand has such a loyal following in snowy states. And some owners describe the engine note as a bit droning under hard acceleration. There's also an insurance angle worth mentioning, since it rarely comes up in typical reviews. Because the Crosstrek has such a well-documented safety and reliability record, it tends to land in more favorable insurance rate brackets than flashier SUVs with similar price tags. That's not the kind of thing that shows up in a glossy brochure, but over 5 or 6 years of ownership, lower premiums combined with fewer repair bills can add up to a genuinely significant amount of money saved. Money that never shows up as a feature, but absolutely shows up in a bank account. Still, for buyers prioritizing predictable running costs and confidence in bad weather over outright excitement, the Crosstrek delivers almost everything most families actually need. And the next entry takes that same reliable and practical formula and applies it to one of the best-selling vehicles in America. Number 4.
2026 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. This is the SUV that mechanics recommend, reliability data confirms, and senior drivers keep returning to, and in 2026, it is better than it has ever been. The 2026 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid sits at number 1 on this list by a clear margin, and the case for it is built on data, not sentiment. No other mainstream SUV in 2026 combines its reliability record, its safety technology depth, its fuel economy, its ease of daily use, and its long-term ownership cost into a package at this price point. For senior buyers specifically, every one of those qualities translates directly into a better, safer, and less stressful life behind the wheel. The 2026 Toyota RAV4 marks a full reset for America's best-selling SUV as it enters its 6th generation with an all-hybrid strategy. Toyota drops conventional gasoline engines entirely, offering the RAV4 exclusively with hybrid and plug-in hybrid powertrains. This is not just an environmental decision, it is a driving quality decision. The hybrid powertrain fundamentally changes the daily driving experience in ways that benefit older drivers more than any other demographic. Here is why that matters specifically for senior drivers. In town, where most older drivers spend the overwhelming majority of their time, the RAV4 Hybrid delivers up to 47 miles per gallon city in certain configurations, a massive jump from the outgoing gas-only models. But beyond fuel savings, the electric motor that powers the RAV4 Hybrid at low speeds creates a driving experience that is whisper quiet at traffic lights, completely smooth during acceleration from rest, and entirely free of the vibration and engine noise that conventional petrol SUVs generate during the stop-start cycling of urban driving. For older drivers who find city traffic mentally taxing, that calm, smooth power delivery reduces fatigue in a way that is genuinely noticeable from the first week of ownership. Toyota's TNGA-K architecture for the 2026 RAV4 gains added structural rigidity at the frame joints and suspension mounting points, with high damping adhesive used in key areas to further reduce vibrations and improve overall refinement. The result is better handling, a smoother ride, and less road noise filtering into the cabin.
Number 3. Acura MDX. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why does a 3-row luxury SUV, loaded with technology, all-wheel drive, and a powerful V6, manage to avoid the reliability pitfalls that trip up so many of its rivals? The Acura MDX has become one of the answers to that question, consistently landing among the most dependable luxury SUVs according to Consumer Reports' latest analysis. Part of the answer is Honda's engineering DNA underneath the Acura badge. The MDX shares mechanical fundamentals with vehicles that have proven themselves in the Honda lineup for years, rather than being built from scratch as a completely standalone luxury platform. That inherited foundation means components have already been tested at scale in a wide range of climates and driving conditions before ever showing up in the more upscale MDX trim. Families cross-shopping three-row SUVs tend to have a specific fear, buying something spacious enough for the kids and the dog, only to watch it rack up expensive repair bills the moment the warranty runs out. The MDX has largely avoided that reputation. Long-term owners report that major mechanical failures are rare, and even the technology suite, often the Achilles heel of luxury vehicles, has proven more stable than what you'll find in some German and even domestic competitors. It isn't perfect. The third row is genuinely tight for adults on longer trips, better suited to kids than grown passengers. And while Acura's infotainment system has improved, it still lags behind some rivals in responsiveness and interface polish. But as a luxury three-row SUV that families can actually trust not to nickel and dime them for a decade, the MDX has quietly built one of the strongest reputations in its segment. That trust shows up most clearly in something families rarely think about until it's too late: warranty claim rates. Fewer trips back to the dealership for unscheduled repairs mean fewer days without the family vehicle, fewer arguments over who has to drive the loaner, and fewer surprise bills landing right after a big vacation or the holidays. For a vehicle whose entire job is hauling kids to practice and groceries home from the store without drama, that kind of quiet consistency is worth more than another inch of legroom or a slightly sharper screen. Speaking of trust built over time, the next SUV on this list has become almost a punchline among off-road enthusiasts, in the best possible way, because it simply refuses to break. Number 2. Lexus GX. Ask an overlanding or off-road forum which vehicle they'd trust to get them home from the middle of nowhere, and the Lexus GX comes up constantly. That's an unusual compliment for a luxury SUV, because most luxury vehicles are engineered around comfort and technology, not the kind of mechanical stubbornness that off-roaders actually need. The GX earns that trust because, underneath its leather seats and premium badge, it's built on a genuinely rugged body-on-frame platform shared with proven Toyota architecture. That's a very different engineering philosophy from most crossover-based luxury SUVs, which prioritize a smoother ride and better fuel economy over outright durability. Consumer Reports' large luxury SUV rankings back up the reputation. The GX consistently scores above average for predicted reliability, putting it in the same conversation as other Toyota and Lexus large SUVs that dominate the top of Consumer Reports' reliability charts. It also holds its value unusually well at resale, which is often the clearest real-world signal that a vehicle isn't quietly falling apart behind the scenes. Buyers pay a premium for used GXs specifically because they trust what's under the hood. There's a reason mechanics who specialize in overlanding builds and long-distance expedition vehicles keep pointing customers toward the GX platform specifically. It's not marketing. It's the accumulated experience of watching which vehicles come back for real repairs after thousands of miles on washboard dirt roads, and which ones come back running exactly the way they left. That kind of reputation isn't manufactured by an ad campaign. It's earned one grueling trip at a time, and the GX has been earning it for years. And now, for the SUV that topped this entire list, the one Consumer Reports data suggests comes closer than almost any other vehicle in America to true worry-free ownership. Number 1. Lexus RX.
This is what genuine luxury feels like when it's built around the driver, not the showroom floor. The 2026 Lexus RX 350 earns its place at number 4 on this list for a very specific reason. It delivers a level of comfort, cabin refinement, and long-term reliability that no mainstream SUV can match. The 2026 Lexus RX continues to be one of the top-selling luxury SUVs in the United States for excellent reasons, including its quiet cabin, plush interior, and ample standard equipment. And Acura has previously earned the Kelley Blue Book Lowest 5-Year Cost to Own award in its class. For senior buyers who have the budget and want to drive something truly special every single day, the RX 350 is difficult to argue against. Let's start with what actually matters for older drivers. The RX 350 is easy to get in and out of from both rows. The doors open wide, and the SUV is at the perfect height for most people. That seat height, not so high that you're climbing, not so low that standing up strains your knees, is one of the most important physical qualities any vehicle can have for drivers managing joint discomfort or limited mobility. Getting in and out of a car 20 times a week adds up. The RX makes every one of those movements natural and stress-free. Sound insulation is particularly impressive. Road noise, wind noise, and engine sounds are minimized, contributing to a quiet cabin that enhances the sense of refinement. The RX 350 excels at making daily commutes and long highway drives feel effortless. For older drivers who find highway fatigue accumulates faster than it once did, that cabin quietness isn't a luxury feature. It's a genuine health benefit. Arriving at a destination relaxed rather than worn out matters more as we age, and the RX delivers that consistently. Controls are logically placed, and the cabin layout of
9 SUVs that, according to Consumer Reports' latest reliability data, stand apart from the pack for very different reasons. Some, like the Bronco Sport and the Crosstrek, prove that dependability doesn't require a luxury price tag. Others, like the BMW X5 and the Porsche Macan, show that even brands with shaky reliability histories can turn things around when they commit to mature, well-tested platforms, instead of constant reinvention. And at the very top, the Lexus RX stands as a reminder that sometimes the smartest purchase isn't the flashiest one. It's the one that quietly, reliably, just works. Which SUV would you choose? And is there another model you think deserved a spot on this list?